wherever your foot falls, that's where your mission is. So wherever it is that you're standing, wherever it is that you're placed, whether you're in an industry, you're a teacher, stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, wherever your foot falls, wherever you're standing, look around you and find a place to serve.
Out west where the sun always beams bright, Midland skies keep the hustle in sight. BAM Consultants got the blueprint intact. For dreamers on the grind, they got your back. Championing dreams from the ground to supreme, providing that spark, igniting the team. Marketing flow strategies that glean. BAM in Midland, building your dream. They teach
Bam! All right. We have a really, really great episode for you guys today. I am here with Mr. Jay Whitlow, author of The Echo Between Hope and Healing.
What's up, Angel?
How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And congratulations on putting a book out. That's
Thank you.
no easy feat.
It was a bucket list item that I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know the topic. But because of some of the things that have happened in my life, some things that I've experienced, that's what I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write about my journey and my experience and what's happened in my life. And if two people will buy it and read it and it helps them, then great.
There you go. Right.
So,
'Cause
yeah.
it's getting what really is within you, right? And being able to express that. And if that helps somebody through their journey,
Yeah, 100%.
you know, that's really why, that's the purpose for doing it. Best of wishes and hope it takes off, man.
I hope so. A couple of friends are always asking, are you pleased with the book sales? And I say, I've never really wanted to be a best-selling author because I speak in fragments. I talk horrible. And I even told the editor, I was like, you got to leave this in my voice. I want people to read the book and read about my story as if they were talking to me.
Right.
So I don't want it to be flashy and perfect. There's some misspellings in there. There's some fragments in there, but I left it in there because I wanted it to be like me.
Interesting.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, the Native American, it's in the culture where when they create art, there is an intentional flaw in the art, right? So that's what you did here, right? It's real.
Yeah.
And it's authentic.
And I am a flaw, whether it's intentional or not.
No, we're all flawed. I think it's your intention to do good, right? To overcome the flaw, and still have it there, because once it's there for life, right?
Yeah.
That's what we carry with us. And I think how we deal with it is what life is about.
100%.
And I think you putting it into written form. You said in your voice, right? So do you have intentions of recording it for audio?
I've thought about it. I've talked to a couple people about them reading it, and people are like, oh, that's awesome. They got great voices, but people want to hear my voice.
You got to do it.
Read it, because I've got to speak in fragments and I've got to talk the way I talk.
Right.
I just don't know if I've got the bandwidth to do that. The Kindle version just recently came out. So I've got the paperback, the Kindle version. So I guess all that's left is the ebook.
Yeah.
So, the audio. So yeah.
With technology and where it is, we were talking a little about technology, where it is nowadays. I'm an avid book reader, right? My goal is at least 100 books a year. Right? That's my goal.
Wow.
I've hit it 3 times in my life, right? But that's always my goal, right? I always get pretty close. I always get over 50 for sure, in the 70s usually. But I'm just a book reader. But now, since it's all on audio, it's so much easier for me to get those numbers up.
Yeah, I think I've gotten 100 in my entire life to read. I'm not a reader.
Yeah.
So for me to write a book is really odd, right? I just, one is I don't have time to sit down and actually read that. Now I do. I think the older that I get. But I just am not a really good polished reader. And it's frustrating sometimes to read through that. And yeah.
So what made you decide, a book, that's what I'm going to do?
Yeah. So we were talking offline about loss in both of our lives. You've had some friends that you've lost close. I've lost a lot of people in my life, and had a lot of setbacks. And some of the journey that I've walked through, I've tried to reach out to resources and haven't been able to find any. Infertility was one of the biggest things
Yeah.
of my journey, for my wife and I. And I've never really found at the bookstore a section of infertility from the male's
From
perspective.
the male's perspective. Yeah. Right.
So if I'm struggling with something,
Somebody
I'm
else
walking
is.
through something,
Mhm.
I want to know, is there somebody else that has done this?
Yeah.
Is there somebody who's written something about this that I can maybe take
Yeah.
and glean and learn from? There wasn't anything. Now, maybe there is more today than there was back when I struggled with infertility, which would have been in the late 1900s. Right?
Oh, you mean the 90s?
Yeah, got married in 91,
Oh, wow.
and we went 10 years all the way up until the 2000s.
Yeah.
Before a child came into our family,
Yeah.
right? So that was the main reason.
Mhm.
And I've had people ask me, a good friend of ours together, Artist King, has asked me, who's the audience for the book?
Hmm.
And it's actually two audiences. One is my kids. I wanted to leave legacy on ink for them.
Yeah.
They never knew their grandmother, my mom.
Mhm.
So this was a chance for me to write stories about her, the way she raised me, things that I
Yeah.
learned from her growing up that they could read some point in their life and go, oh, now I know a little bit about my grandmother, right?
Sure.
Stories about me, stories about my wife and I struggling with infertility for all
Mhm.
those time, of what it took for us to get 10 years into the marriage and all the ups and downs and the setbacks of trying to have children. And then now we have kids, and I wanted them to know that story, what that was like for us to get to the day when they became part of our family. And then the second audience is people who are just struggling with loss in general, whether it be infertility, whether it be a loss of a parent or a
Mhm.
brother, best friend from high school, loss of job, loss of what. I don't, especially infertility. It's not a topic that we go to Tall City Brewery, sit down,
Yeah.
and guys around the table talk about infertility. We just don't do that.
No.
So where do you have that outlet? And so I felt like I'm just going to write about it.
Because you're right. You're going. It's like when they say, if you have a question, you're in a classroom or wherever,
Mhm.
you have a question. Likely, there's a lot of other people that have that exact same question in their head. So you going through a certain struggle. Absolutely, there's lots of other men going through that. But we're taught to push it away,
Mhm.
shove it down. It's not on the surface at all.
Hide it.
It's definitely hidden.
Hide it.
Yeah, because why am I going to talk about that?
Mhm.
Why should I?
Mhm.
How's that going to benefit me at all to talk about that, right? It's like all the other things that we like to shove way down deep,
Mhm.
and we just keep sooner or later, all that's going to come up
100%.
one way or another, and it might not be in a healthy way that you would like.
And that was me.
Yeah,
You can only push down so far.
yeah,
You can only hide so much.
Mhm.
You can only cover up so much, to the point where you're like, this is destroying my life. I've
Yeah.
got to have an outlet away. And it's my responsibility, right?
Mhm.
To walk through that. Things that I chased my entire life, approval,
Mm.
but then the loss, there's no one to talk about this to.
Yeah.
And I was in ministry in those years of being, walking through infertility.
Mhm.
And so as a church leader, as a minister, you're supposed to have all the answers for, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else who's struggling with
Mhm.
loss and setbacks are supposed to come to you for answers.
Yeah.
Well, if you're the one that's supposed to be giving the answers and you're struggling with that,
What do you do?
so
Yeah.
you push it aside, just like you said, you push it aside. I'll deal with it later
Mhm.
because I got to help you.
Right.
Or I got to help someone else.
Mm.
And to the point where there's no other room to push stuff down.
Yeah.
It's full.
That's a good point. As in, where do you go to? You're helping someone else, right?
Mhm.
So I've haven't known you long, but what I do know, you're always helping others. That's what you do. I met you with Rope Youth.
Yeah,
You help Carl Borowski out with Rope Youth. Great program. Shout out to Carl.
100%.
You help him a lot to feed kids.
Mhm.
So you give your time, you give your energy. I'm pretty sure you give your money, you know, you give resources, and your life is, it seems like your life is a life of service, which is why this book makes sense, because it's, again, you're putting it out there for others to have a place to go to.
Yeah.
Right. I like that this is like a memoir for your family, for future generations, so they can know a deeper, you know, instead of just, you know, random during over Thanksgiving, you might tell a story, but you're only, you know, tell it halfway because you're just mentioning it. But here you got a chance to like detail it out.
Yeah.
And this is what your grandmother was like. You know, this is what me and your mom were going through. You know, this is your family. This is your legacy. This is your story. You know, so that's a beautiful thing in and of itself.
Thank you.
I'm really, you know, you're talking a lot about that, you know, because we shove down one of the major things is the loss, right? The loss of loved ones, jobs, relationships, you know, and when there's no one to like, hey, well, you're going to be okay. You know, I'll listen to you. You know, that's sometimes the most important thing, you know, just somebody to hold space, as they say, you know, just a lot of times it's men, we shy away from that. You know, we don't, what do you mean hold space for me? You know, I'm fine. But to be able, just the very act of expressing it, right, is self-healing, right? And where I was going before, with you live a life of service, is that those of us who live a life of service, who are here to serve others, neglect our own self.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you bring up a great point because I am involved in the community. I've been to your mixers that you've had here with the community and stuff, and that's where I've met artists, met you, and some other things, and just kind of work through serving in the community. And people say, "Why do you do that?" It's really, Angel. It's just who I am.
Right.
Right. I can't really teach that.
Yeah. No, that's something that is not.
You know,
can't be taught.
I can just just be me. And a lot of people will call me up and say, "Hey, could you be involved in this? Could you serve on this?" And there's no financial, you know, compensation for that or whatever. And I get in trouble from that sometimes because TXU needs money. They don't need service hours, right?
Yeah.
In high school and college, you needed service hours to get by.
Right.
But when you're an adult, you need money to get by, not service hours. So I'm still going to serve because that's just who I am. Right.
100%.
And I learned a long time ago, we were in England, we were talking off air about, you know, being in Europe and traveling. And I'll never forget, was in England, was on the North Sea, looking out over the sea there. And a guy that had moved from the States to England to serve, right, told me, he said, wherever your foot falls, that's where your mission is. So wherever it is that you're standing, wherever it is that you're placed, whether you're in an industry, you're a teacher, stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, wherever your foot falls, wherever you're standing, look around you and find a place to serve. And that really stuck with me. I was like, that resonates with me because I've always been somebody who serves. I've always been somebody who gives. But now I have that purpose, that why. Why do I do this? Because this is where I'm placed. This is where God's put me. And I think a lot of times people go, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I want to get to this certain spot. And when I get to that certain spot, then I'll be like, then I'll serve and I'll give and I'll do everything. And I'm like, you know what? If you keep chasing that, like I chase approval growing up my whole life, you're never going to find that. So look down, see where your feet are, and then get involved.
That's your
mission.
I love that. That is it's powerful, right? Because you visualize it, you see it, it's palpable, it's right here now. Because the now, right here, this moment, right now is all that exists. So if you're chasing something in the future or regretting something in the past, you're not here.
You're not present.
You're not present.
Yeah.
And only when you're present can you really help others.
100%.
You know, because that's like what you're saying, you're chasing it. People, when I become a millionaire, then give money to nonprofits and charity and all that, right? Well, what do you have right now that you can give, right? Sure, you can find some time. Sure, you can find a nonprofit to go volunteer at. That takes nothing but time. That's it. It doesn't have to cost you money. So can you do something? Yeah, everybody can do something. Like I'm on the board for Meals on Wheels, Odessa, and I've been years, about almost 10 years, I think. I was 10 years. Well, my daughter, she and then I was working for Meals on Wheels, so my daughter really kind of grew up volunteering. And even before then, we used to do Christmas drives and anything we can. We get our old clothes and go donate. And as she's grown up, she's gonna be a nurse now because she wants to help people. That's her thing. She's super smart, and I try to push her into entrepreneurship and hustling and doing this and doing that. And she's like, I'm gonna go be a nurse. Like she found her calling, and that's great because now her entire life is based on her serving others.
And you've modeled that for her.
Yes, sir.
When you mentioned that, it made me think of, when your kids catch on to what you're trying to model, you can talk to them all day long.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at you, look the other way. My kids are all in their 20s now, so they're adulting. But when I see them react a certain way of maybe when they were 5 or 10, I'm like, they it.
Yeah.
So I remember one time we were out to eat and I'd seen a couple and they were important in our life and stuff. And we had a conversation with them, and I just will never forget. My daughter leans over and she goes, "You're going to buy their meal, right?" Because she has seen me doing that her whole life.
Yeah.
And now they're doing that.
Yeah.
They're buying a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or providing something for someone in need. And it doesn't have to be somebody in need.
Right.
It's just
the situation. You're there.
Just doing that.
It's where
I'm
your
just
feet
being
are.
present.
Right.
And I'm this is where my feet are. I'm a firm believer. I'm a rich person, but it's not because of financial. I'm rich because I'm healthy. I've got solid feet, a solid ground under my feet.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I have the love of my family. I have a lot of great things. Yeah. I've got a book that explains a lot about my past and my journey. Yeah. That makes me rich.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, they put their focus on the financial piece.
Right.
And yes, that's also great.
Yeah.
But I'm rich because of people like Angel. I'm rich because of people like Carl.
Yeah. That
I can serve with, that I can know, I can love, I can appreciate, and I can be a part of. That makes me rich.
It does. That's the main component in wealth. What Franklin Ben say, healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yeah.
That wealthy, I don't think so much he was talking about financial. He was talking about all the things you're talking about. You're on your mission and you're fulfilling your purpose, no matter where God has you at the moment. So that really tracks. It falls in line. You of your life, you are always seeking approval. Can you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I read about it, the first chapter, right? After I talk about my mom and my accident that happened while I was at Tech. So the first chapter, I talk about this disease that I have, right? That prescription has been able to fill. I can't go down to CVS and buy something off the shelf for it. And it keeps me up at night. It makes me uncomfortable. And that disease is seeking approval. I've always chased approval. A lot of people will chase fame and fortune, and I chase approval, right? And I am off air, I've celebrated 8 years of turning 50. And so over 50 years of my life, I have chased approval, and I'd never caught it.
Yeah, no.
Never caught it. And it's funny because there are so many times people struggle with something in their life for a long period of time, 20 years, 30 years, 10 years. And then they expect it to change like that, right? It's like for me, I'm not a real good patient when it comes to being sick. So if I've been sick for a while and I do go to the doctor and he gives me, hey, take this medicine for 5 days, 10 days, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm impatient,
Mm.
if I don't see results after 3 days, I'm like, well, this isn't working. Throw it away.
Yeah.
And so I equate that to life. It's like for 50 plus years, I've been chasing approval. Why am I so frustrated that reading this book or that book or hearing this conference or going to this thing has not changed it?
Yeah.
And so it's a constant battle daily.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say one time, give your best self the same amount of time to build your best life that you gave your worst self to ruin your life. And so I've spent all this time chasing and trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
If I would spend that time on who I'm supposed to be, then I'll figure it out.
Right.
But I'm constantly chasing. I'm wanting to be a different person in the room. I want to be bigger, but I can't believe I said it that way. I can't believe I look a certain way. I've done that my entire life, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But there's hope that I don't have to live that way. But it's a battle every day. I have to get up. I have to say to myself, today I'm not trying to impress anybody. I don't really give a flip if I impress you or not. This is just who I am.
Right.
And I'm going to be me. And I'm going to give that time away to serve somebody else.
Right. That's that the self-realization in itself that is your disease. Right. That is what you chase, because the vast majority of us who have that never realize it, in their entire life. Or if they do realize it, well, what can I do about it? Right. This is life.
That's who
I am. But then you go deeper and you ask the question, is that who I am? Because I think that's probably the most powerful question anyone can ask themselves. Who am I? Right? Because the most powerful words in all of language are I am. Right? So when you're asking the question, who am I? The reverse of that has to be the most powerful question. So the answer to that, it's not an easy question to answer.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's
like, frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's like it's a constantly moving target. It's the physics experiments. It'll by the observable fact it will change just by being observed. So is that the same when we're trying to narrow in on who we are? The closer you get to seeing it, it's. And I don't know, we're living in the Matrix.
Living in the Matrix, yeah.
So that's when you have to go through a lot of introspection. Is something that you practiced most of your life, or is something that like recently, before coming, when you said I'm going to write this book, is that when you started really looking in?
Yeah, when everybody's got issues and struggles and setbacks and have to take pivots and they have to do things. We learned that through COVID, right? We have to pivot so much.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's just as I get older, I look back on when I was 20, when I was 30, I was an idiot. Right? Yeah. If I would have known,
I'm on that team.
Right? You're on my side. If I would have known back then what I know now, wow. But I can't go back and change that. What I can do is model moving forward the kind of person that I want to be.
Right.
And everybody's had loss. Everybody experienced loss. You handle it different ways.
Yeah.
But looking back over it, I lost a brother, very young age. Never got to meet him. He died at birth. I lost my mom to cancer very early in her 60s.
Yeah.
She was my best friend. I was an only child now. And so I had a great relationship with my mom. My dad was a little difficult. He was a hard person. He was the one that kind of verbally beat me down on, the approval side. I never could do enough to satisfy. He was always my baseball coach. He was always involved. I will say this about my dad. He was always involved in my life.
Yeah.
Good and bad, but he was always there. Yeah. And it was hard to him satisfied. Right. Two of my friends growing up from childhood both died very young. And so it seemed like loss was just always there. It was like, I don't want to get close to you because something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. when I get to college, dating somebody, for a long time, and just it didn't gel, right? It wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I was chasing approval in the midst of those relationships, right?
Right.
So it just seems like a series of things have happened through life, and I want to find out what it is that, or how I can overcome that. And at some point down the road, some point in my life, if God allows this, I want to be able to tell that story. And so the fear of writing a book like this and talking about infertility,
Yeah.
the loss of not being able to have kids,
Yeah.
the loss of parents, the loss of friends, those things, you can't just sit down and write about it and it not affect you.
Right.
It took me 3 years to write the book.
Yeah.
But probably the last year was really but I had to go dark,
Yeah.
right? And those when we were going through infertility, Angel, and the doctor was saying, you're not going to have kids. I'm like, no, God has called me to be a dad. I know that because I would do dad different than my dad did. So I knew that I was going to be a father. It was a calling that I wanted more than anything else, more than any title of any job. I wanted the title of dad.
Yeah.
And then when a doctor tells you it ain't going to happen.
No way. Impossible. Right.
Right. Yeah. Impossible. It's your problem and it's your problem. And the two married together, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So when you go dark in that season and you're blaming yourself, your mom is sitting there dying of cancer and she's like, hey, I'd like to have grandkids before I die. Well, you know what? It's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then she passes without knowing her grandkids, and that regret and that, and then the anger toward God, you won't let me have kids. You took my mom. You did this. You did,
Right.
It sold.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't want to talk to anybody, even if there was anybody there.
You didn't want to talk
I didn't want to. So when I wrote this, I had to go back to that. I had to go back to that space where I was angry. Because I wanted you, the reader, to understand what it was like to feel that. I didn't want to just say, hey, we went through fertility and it was horrible and now we're on the other side of it. No, I got real deep on what it was like to sit in the room with the nurse saying, you're going to need to go in this other room and give me a sample. I wrote about that. Yeah. What that did to me as a man. Yeah. Right. To go in there and then to come out of that room carrying this and going, hey, and all eyes are looking,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And to set that down and the lady go, thank you. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
You're welcome.
No sweat.
Salute her.
Yeah.
I mean, and like having children and being tested and all that is not supposed to be dwindled down to a science experiment. Yeah. But that's what it became, And so I wanted people to, and when you read the book, you feel that and understand that. I didn't want to sugarcoat that. Right. And so when you're going into that season of life where you're trying to write about what it was like 25 years ago, you've got to let yourself go back there. And then you've got to come out of that. And I don't know what's harder, going back in it or coming back out of it.
Wow. Attention Midland entrepreneurs and dreamers. We're giving you the chance to win one of the 4 free tickets to the upcoming Focus Conference this September 19th and 20th at the Bush Center. All you have to do is send us a quick 60 to 90 second video telling us who you are, what your business is, and why you want to attend the Focus Conference.
Hi, my name is Dan Nicholas with Alpha Omega Leadership Company here in the Permian Basin in Midland, Texas. And I want to share something great. I'm so excited that this September 19th and 20th down at the Bush Center downtown Midland, I want to personally invite you to a world-class event. I'm going to be speaking myself about having your purpose, refining your purpose, and also from being able to scale your business, from you getting lost and unmotivated to go to your highest good and your highest level. Remember that person you wanted to be when you were younger? You can still do those great things.
Don't miss this life-changing opportunity to learn from world-renowned speakers like Les Brown, Ed Milet, Paul Martinelli, and more. Submit your video today for a chance to win one of the 4 free tickets because your breakthrough starts at the Focus Conference.
This episode of BAM BizTalk is brought to you by Flash Mobile. Whether you're managing your business, chasing your dreams, or just handling life on the go, Flash Mobile gives you nationwide for GLTE coverage. No contracts and total freedom, all at a price that makes sense. Activate your plan in minutes. Bring your own device. Stay in control wherever life takes you. Contact us and make the switch today. And now let's get back to today's show.
It's like a character actor.
100%.
You have to put your past face on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more difficult is because that literally is you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not pretending to be somebody else. That is you. You know, you had to put so that when you go back there, all those feelings flood back.
And I didn't like that guy.
No, right. You were moved on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you left him back. Right.
When I wrote that book and got through the part about the infertility and the anger and I wrote one part about I was angry, cuss word angry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a deep.
Yeah.
I didn't like myself. I didn't like you. I didn't like anybody.
Right.
Didn't like my marriage. Didn't like anybody. And I treated everybody as such because I wasn't getting what I felt like I deserved.
Right.
Right. When I went back to write that, I was sitting there going, that guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
What a jerk I was.
Yeah.
Right. But needed to feel that again so that I could get it on paper because I didn't journal back then when I was going through that.
Right.
The last thing I wanted to do was remember this crap.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Notes.
So it's just not like remembering, last week's, a movie you just watched last, you're recalling it. You're literally having to become again. So yeah, coming out of that, were there a moment that you realized, oh wow, I'm still, part of me is still here, right? Like, did you say, okay, I need to do X to get out of this? How did you pull yourself out?
I think my faith was the biggest thing. I'm a person of faith, and I walk with Jesus every day. and I tried to do that back then.
Yeah.
I remember I was in ministry and I was going through all this, and I had to set the Jesus off to the side because I was walking through a darkness without him, even though he was there with me. But I think now looking back over it, I think what got what got me out was my faith that I'm than that guy.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
It's what I did. It's what I walked through. I had like this. We went through infertility for 10 years, and our first child is adopted.
Okay.
Yeah. After we adopted our daughter, Carolyn, then we had 2 biological. So you tell me, was it really a medical issue? Or was it providentially that God said, you know what? The first person in your family is going to be this girl that I'm going to drop into your lap from a teenage couple who can't raise her, but you're going to.
Yeah.
You're going to love her. You're going to pour into her. You're going to provide for her. And you wouldn't do that if I blessed you with 2 of your own. So you're going to go through this 10 years of struggle to wait for her.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's true. So now that I look back over it, I think maybe it wasn't medical.
Right.
Maybe all the tests, all the things that we went through, there was nothing I could have eaten, done differently, weight, whatever.
Right.
It was all the way God orchestrated it.
Where
I really 100% believe that.
Yeah. Wear ice pack underwear.
Yeah. The whole thing.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. So out of that, I think God knows what he's doing. I have to trust that. I don't like to lean on somebody else. It's me. Yeah. I can do this. Right. I'm not going to delegate. I hate delegating.
I got that problem too.
Just let me do it.
Yeah.
Just let me do it.
Yeah.
It may not take 10 years to get done, but just let me do it.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that, to answer your question, I think that's where I got my strength was from my faith to say, that's not who I was. That's not who I am. That's a part of my story. I can't erase it. Right. That will always, what the words in this book is who I am and who I was, but it's not who I'm going to continue to be.
Right. And it is that kind of allowance. You're that part of you, right?
Mhm.
Because you acknowledge, yeah, you know what, that wasn't the greatest guy, you know, but I acknowledge that was still me, and he needed love, and he needed reassurance that things were going to be okay. And like now, you're like, hey, we got this. Now I can move on, right? And based in your now, because like you said, you were a pastor back then. You were a man of faith then, but current faith, Jay, faith,
Yeah.
Jay in the faith, current. It's
That's a great point. Yeah.
Now you're able to forgive past you.
Mhm.
So maybe going through this process is like a catharsis of sorts to even push you to this next level. Future
That's the
change.
healing part.
Yes,
That's the healing part.
right. So that's powerful.
Yeah. I'm a music fan, right? I love all kinds of genres.
Yeah,
Country music's probably my least favorite,
Uh-huh.
but it's in there.
yeah,
So when I hear a lyric, whether it's from when I was in high school or today, whenever I hear a lyric, it always takes me back to a moment in my life. You probably have some of those songs where you're like, when I hear that song by Willie Nelson or whatever, I remember whatever. So what I did was I took those specific lyrics that meant a lot to me
yes,
and wrote about what life was like at that time in my life.
yeah. I read about that in the notes you
Yeah.
sent me. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah,
That's where the echo is. So I hear that song by U2 or by Whitesnake or by Willie Nelson or AC/DC or whoever, and it's like that one line out of there takes me back to when I was a 18-year-old at youth camp,
yeah,
or that takes me back to the moment that I had my wreck on the tech campus, right? I can still hear that song,
yeah.
in my head when I thought I was dead and woke up in heaven. And no, I'm still hearing this one song. I'm like, oh, I must not be in heaven
That's
then, because this song is playing.
This is
the
what
song
God
wouldn't be in
gives.
heaven. So
Wow. Yeah, that is that's like you create moments of your life, and it's based on like what is that? I forgot what they call it, but if you smell a certain smell, can transport you back to where you smell it, what were you doing in that time. So the lyrics, very much the same thing. You hear this song and you remember your feelings, who you were with, who surrounded you. A few years ago, I connected with my high school sweetheart, and I was playing a song of the Eagles. It was, a Hotel California came on, and then she was like, "Do you remember?"
yeah,
I was like, "Remember what?" And then she started telling me about the song and our we had, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Right? We were teenagers again, talking about that we had listened to the Eagles. So
yeah,
it's powerful.
it is
It's powerful.
100%.
So you brought up your a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'll get to it in the book, but would you mind telling us about that?
Yeah, so I was a student at Texas Tech and had a Mustang, 1985 Mustang.
Okay.
A 1900s Mustang. And it was my pride and joy. I loved it, kind of the cool thing.
Sure.
And I remember pulling up to a stoplight on the Tech campus. I was leaving university. I was headed to church. I was in a suit. It was at night. Again, this was back in the day when we had evening church services and stuff. And I'm wearing a suit, it's just part of my approval, right? I just want people to see I'm classy, dressed up kind of guy or whatever. So I pull up to the stoplight, and it was a 2-lane stoplight. There was a car on my left and then me. And the light was red, so we're sitting there. Well, it turned green. The car next to me took off, and mine kind of stuttered a little bit. You know how it doesn't completely turn off, but it kind of get, maybe bad gas or something. I don't know. So cars were going by me on the left-hand side, and I'm trying to get it in kind of, to go. It's still green, and so I took off. And when I took off, bam, I got hit. Probably 60 mile an hour car going, just the guy was not paying attention. He was, and he was in a 4-door LTD car, and just, T-boned me. And I spun and flipped, landed upside down on the other side of the road with the steering wheel in my hand in the back seat in the hatchback. The roof was caved down to the seat where I was sitting. I should not have lived, right? But I'm in the back steering wheel in my
Clutching.
hand, clutching the steering wheel.
Wow.
The only cut on my entire body, there was glass all over me from the, glass and windshield and everything. The only cut on me was where the seatbelt cut my chin as it
ripped off,
dislodged, which allowed me to be thrown in the back. If that hadn't have come apart, I would have been smashed. I mean, because the roof was in the seat. I'm in the back. I crawl out, dust myself off, and sit down on the curb. And people are getting out of their car going, oh my gosh. I had a friend that was a couple cars back. She's like, oh my gosh. Police come and they're looking in the car and they're getting the jaws of life out because they're like, we're going to have to cut somebody out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I'm over here. And they're like, whoa, what? You're in this car? Yeah, I was in that car. And they couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Well, I knew at that moment, God had something for me. And then when I go through infertility and stuff like that, I'm like, what in the world did you have for me?
Right. Yeah.
All this struggle and stuff is like, it'd have been better if you'd have just taken me then.
Right.
To go through all of this. But now I sit there and go, it's all part of the journey. I needed to go through that. I needed it to wake me up. I needed it to reveal some things to me, to reveal things to other people who were like maybe on the fence with faith. And they were like, oh my gosh, I trust that now. Right. I don't know why God allows things to happen in our life, but he does. Yeah. And we should look at it and what can I learn from this experience? So that was a moment that my life.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't expect that. I expected, you got wreck in the hospital, coming back from for sure death, wow. That's how that is when you're in a situation that there's no walking out of. 9 out of 10 people aren't walking away from that, but then you do, but instead of brushing it off, you take stock of it. You're like, well, there's some meaning.
What's in it?
Right.
What's in it?
Yeah. You mean meaning to it. You see behind the scenes, what's the bigger picture here? And that a lot of people overlook that when they go through something, then again, there's a lot of people that their whole lives just completely change, especially near-death experiences. I've had my own near-death experience. And I say that, there's a lot of me that is still here from before that moment, but a lot has changed, especially my perspective on it's being more open, more like, okay, I think this popped in my head earlier when you were talking in this vulnerability. I feel that I was always vulnerable for the show, but I was truly closed off and shove things down that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to, acknowledge, it's just, but since then, I think I've truly become more more vulnerable. And now it's not just, oh, look at me, I'm vulnerable. I can touch with my emotions. Hey, this is more me now. This will be more authentic. And it's not like it was conscious. I didn't say, okay, now you're going to be, it was just a moment of, life is so fragile. And I know the exact moment I had a choice of moving on or staying here. I remember that choice like it was like it happened 5 minutes ago, and I was feeling great. I was light. I was like, this is amazing. Like this, I feel like I'm filled with superpowers. I'm just energized, and I feel so light. And then my daughter popped in my head, and I felt the physical, like I was in the medical. In the hospital, and I slammed back into my bed. I felt a landing, and my daughter popped in my head, and my parents, my sisters, and their nieces and nephews, and just my it was just like, wow, like, okay, I'm not done, because my daughter still needs me. Or maybe I still need her, right? I mean, because I that she's matured me more than I was ever, because we don't mature, man.
Yeah.
But I think our kids can help us in that direction.
Yeah, I didn't have a great relationship with my dad growing up, but I got to reconcile at the end.
Good.
Before he passed. I'll never forget, he's sitting at the hospital. It's over in Odessa, and he had some heart failure problems, and was going to have to go to hospice and live. And so he told the nurses, he said, tonight, you guys just take care of somebody else. I'm just going to sleep. So in that moment, I didn't think this was goodbye. I thought it was, we'll see you in the morning, and we'll get you set up for hospice and stuff. What did he know?
Yeah.
Did he know something was going to happen? Did he sense something? And so he just told the nurses, he said, hey, you got to take care of somebody else tonight.
Wow.
I'm just going to sleep. And he passed away during his sleep. When they called and told me that he had passed, they said he passed peacefully in his sleep. And I wrote about this in the book. I was like, what does that mean? What does passing peacefully mean? Did he lay there in those last moments really at peace with his life? Was there regrets? Was there something that he laid there and wrestled with in his mind? I should have done this better. I should have done that better. I wish I had more time to do this. I regret this. I regret that. Did he really pass, I think, peacefully in your sleep? But what does that really mean?
Hey there, bookworms and knowledge seekers. Ever wished you could find everything you need in one place? Look no further than the Ector County Library. We're not just about books, though we've got plenty of those, from the latest page-turners to classic favorites. We're talking free high-speed internet, tech classes to boost your skills, and awesome programs for all ages. Kids can dive into storytime adventures, teens can hang out and study, and adults can join book clubs or learn something new. There's always something exciting happening at the library. So whether you're a student looking for homework help, a job seeker needing resources, or just someone who loves to learn, we've got you covered. Swing by your local Ector County Library and see what we're all about. It's more than just books. It's a whole world of possibilities. Ector County Library. Your adventure starts here.
The BAM BizTalk podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pachuco's Restaurant. Craving authentic and eclectic cuisine in Midland? Well, Pachuco's has you covered. Located in downtown Midland at the ever-so-legendary and iconic historic building at 316 North Big Spring Street, Pachuco's blends rich and unique flavors in a conveniently pleasant and vibrant atmosphere. Enjoy the highest quality barbecue, savory tacos, burgers, and a variety of other mouth-watering dishes that reflect the spirit of a true Pachuco cuisine. Real, authentic, and just plain different. Check out their menu at www.pachucos432.com or call 432-218-8806 to inquire, or better yet, just show up and get your shine on at Pachucos, where heritage, exquisite taste, and hospitality come together for an unforgettable dining experience. Pachucos, Midland, Texas. Now back to the show.
And so I was comforted in knowing that the peace meant that I think my dad was at peace with us, with our relationship.
Yeah.
Because I was at peace with it. You know, when I had my mom's funeral when she passed and led the service, and he never cried through the entire service. I was a basket case, right? It's my mom, best friend. And I'm her service. And I was mad at him for years on that. I was like, Dad, how can you not cry at your wife's funeral? And he was like, how long did she go through cancer? It was like 7 years. He said, I had 7 years of preparing to let her go. I didn't. I got a phone call one night. Your mom passed away. It was I knew she was had gone with cancer. I knew that she was struggling with that, but he was with her 24/7. He was able to begin to let go and move on. And I wasn't, and I was so angry at him. And so when I hear he passed peaceful in his sleep, I'm like, did he? Did he?
Yeah.
And now in retrospect, after writing the book and remembering back through those moments, I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was at peace.
Yeah.
And I want to be that way. When I take my last breath, I want to know that I did what I was supposed to do on this earth.
Yeah.
Peacefully.
Right. You know, in father's case, sitting with your mom every day, 24 hours, watching her suffer, the pain, the inability to do things she used to do with ease. At that time in her funeral, her now she's at peace.
Mhm.
Now, right? She's no longer in pain. So I'm guessing that's what he was setting.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
But at the moment, I
you
didn't
didn't
think
see
that
it.
because
Yeah.
it was that selfishness of me going, why in the world are you upset? Why are you not upset?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And he's like, you with her like I was.
Yeah.
And I get that now,
Yeah.
you know, and I've had to ask God to forgive me for that. And we were able to reconcile on some things. And that was one of the things we were able to reconcile on.
Yeah.
It was like, I missed a lot of good time
Mm.
holding on to
Holding on.
something
Yeah.
that didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, and I didn't take the time to want to know that.
Right.
And that's part of the to healing, right? It's that and it was why I wrote about the echo in between. I have to have something. It's not happening, but there's healing on the backside of that.
Mm.
And I remember, and that's that of my voice. You know, he used to whistle all the time, and I could hear that whistle. I could hear that whistle above anything else.
Yeah.
And it was not a whistle like "come here." It's a whistle of approval, right? I could just tell. He was telling me I'm doing good or I'm not doing good. And I'll never forget sitting in that room that last night. I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. There was that of I'm done,
Yeah.
right? I've lived a good life. And he, by world standards, he didn't have everything. He didn't finish the 8th grade.
Yeah.
You know, he worked a bench mechanic job for Mobile Oil for a number of years. It wasn't glamorous,
Yeah.
you know, but we had
Yeah.
everything.
It was hard, honest work. Yeah. Wow. Our how we grow up, it defines us so much. Because I was thinking when you were talking about, how your parents lost your
Mhm.
well, I'm pretty sure through your mom, her grieving, that also came onto you.
Mhm.
Her grieving, you picked up on that, without even knowing, and that part of your upbringing.
100%.
It wasn't intentional by no means. But that's what it was. It was in. So now current Jay, you've gone through that. You're now you're introspective now, and now you're vulnerable to a point of strength. That's what I was thinking of earlier.
Yeah,
Right? It's
yeah.
vulnerability to where it's a strength, right? Because there's the other kind of vulnerability to where it's weakness, right? And you get hurt,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to cause more damage, more scarring, more trauma. But vulnerability to where now you can stand your faith, stand your ground, stand where your mission is, right? It kind of all comes together. I get really the that you chose, echo. It when you explain it in that context, it makes a lot of sense. Is that so? Tell us about this landing, deciding on that. We know the meaning, but
Yeah.
how did it get there?
I went through 15, 20 different titles
Yeah.
through, the book cover. We on it. Artist King did the book cover, and it was what the echo and everything I wanted to. But I went through a lot of different titles, and I always kept coming back to 3 words: hope, healing, and echo. So I was like, do I put this in Chat GPT?
Yeah.
What do I do with this and stuff? And so I just looked at it and just, for me, I had to just kind of process things. And so I looked at it. I was like, those 3 words in and of themselves have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Hope has a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
Healing has a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
And the echo part does have a lot of depth because it's a reverberation of something, of a sound or something that you have seen or heard. It just continues to come back. And that is a deep thing for me because whether it's infertility or whether it's loss, approval, the of my kids walking through different stages of their life,
Yeah.
that's deep for me. So I said, those 3 words have to be together. So what sentence or what structure, because I'm not a good English major person, and it just happened to be instead of hope, healing, and echo, it was like, the echo between the two.
Yeah.
There's an echo between that. I always knew I wanted to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was told I wouldn't be a dad.
Right.
And then I became a dad. They echo in between there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to be a dad. You're going to be a dad.
You're going to be
Trust me. You're going to be a dad. That was the echo I kept hearing.
Mm.
You're going to be a dad. Well, the doctors are telling me I'm not. You're going to be a dad. We tried to adopt and the adoption failed. You're going to be a dad. Same thing with loss. Same thing with being a parent. You know,
Yeah.
all the things that I would hear, there was always that echo in between the hope and the healing, the good and the bad, the yes and the no.
Yeah.
There was always that echo in the middle.
It's always the in between.
It's always in between.
You know,
We live our life in the in between,
it's all gray.
right?
Yeah.
That little dash on your tombstone one day
Mm-hmm.
represents what you lived.
Yeah.
You know, mine's 1967, right? The mid 1900s. And I don't know what that other date is. No
Who
one.
knows? Yeah.
But that dash between those two dates, that's the most important part.
'Cause that's
That's the
where you're at.
book.
That's where you're at, right?
That's where you live. You live in the dash,
we're in
the echo.
and healing's a process, right?
Yes.
Echo is a resonant, right? It's resonating. That's that activation part,
Mhm.
right? Hope is purity, is what we're the goal. Yeah, it's and the healing is the process. You know, so I like how you tied that together, just because the says a lot about it. You know, because at first you read an echo between, okay, that sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're explaining what that is, you know, just in conversation, I can't wait to read it, really, to dive in. You know, offline, you were telling me a couple of stories in there, because you like my team.
Not a Cowboys fan. That's right.
But a lot of experience growing up at Cowboy Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's so. Mind telling us that story again?
Yeah. So my cousin worked for the Cowboys ever since they were at the Cotton Bowl from the early days. And his job was to take care of and manage the visiting team's sideline and locker room. So as equipment would come in back in the day, it's different now, obviously, but as equipment would come in on a Saturday before a Sunday game, we could go down with my cousin and his boys and friends and put uniforms up. We were little. We were in elementary school and junior high. We put helmets up, and I remember hanging up Archie Manning's helmet, and Terry Bradshaw's helmet, Lynn Swan.
Wow.
A lot of different. It was always the visiting team. It was never the Cowboys.
Right.
But I fell in love with the Cowboys doing all this, but also got to fall in love with other players, right? That's like, wow, Archie Manning and Terry Bradshaw, you know, and stuff. And
Yeah.
as I got older, I started choosing, because I was at college and then married. Sundays was not a good time to go on the weekends and stuff, especially as a minister and a pastor. Sundays were a big day.
Right.
So I chose Thanksgiving to go to those games. So I went to a lot of Thanksgiving Day games and worked the sidelines. This was back when you would dip Gatorade in the cups and set them out for the players to drink.
Yeah. No
Didn't
sports
have
bottles.
didn't have squirt bottles back then, right? And then there were times when a player or a coach would say, "Hey, I need you to do something for me," and so your responsibility. I remember one time my responsibility was to, when the quarterbacks were ready to come out before the game, first half and second half, to have a couple footballs ready and meet them on the 50-yard line, and they would start warming up. You know, nowadays they have a whole regiment of of things that they do before the game and stuff. So it was just things like that. And so I got jerseys and footballs and sweatbands and gloves and autographs of Packers, Redskins, Giants, Cardinals, all of them, right?
Yeah.
And so this one year I chose to go Thanksgiving 1993. It was the Sleet Bowl. I don't know if you remember that or not. They played the Dolphins. The entire stadium floor at Texas Stadium was covered with a sheet of ice, right?
Oh, wow.
And Emmitt Smith even said, he goes, we should have worn, he was quoted saying, we should have worn ice skates that
Now
day.
I know. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a blue norther came in on Thanksgiving Day. It was just supposed to be cold, but it came in and it started sleeting, and, you know, the hole in the roof allowed the elements to hit the field. And if you remember in that specific game, Cowboys had blocked a field goal that would have given the Dolphins the lead. And so the ball is kind of sputtering around in the end zone, and a guy named Leon Lett, and I'm sure you remember him,
Yes, sir.
kind of chased after it or whatever and slid on the ice and touched it, and the ball became live.
Right.
And the Dolphins recovered it and got another chance to kick a field goal and won.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, my job that day was to hold the headset and kind of pull the cord for the headset before they had, wireless for Don Shula, the coach of
on the visiting team.
And I'm on the visiting side. So I'm standing on the sidelines next to Don Shula the entire game. So I saw this transpire live.
Yeah.
And in a view that most Cowboy fans who were in the stands or even at home watching on TV didn't get to experience that.
Right.
And it was the elation of the Cowboys blocking the field goal, and the crowd went nuts. It was loud in that stadium. Texas Stadium was one of the loudest stadiums I've ever been in. And it was an eruption of, we won the game on a blocked field goal after the crazy back and forth of the miracle at the Sleep Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And then to have the wind taken out of the sails, so to speak, where we got to kick it again because this Leon touched the ball and made it live. If he would have just stayed away from it, game over, we wouldn't have this story.
Yeah.
And you sit there as a young 20-year-old and you're like, wow, how quickly life can change. Because it went from everybody in that stadium going nuts and crazy that they had
won the game
to, no, you didn't.
Oh, wait, what?
You lost the game. And you didn't just lose it, you lost it in that kind of fashion, right? And I'll never forget, as we packed up all the gear and everything from the sidelines and stuff, and everybody had left, the fans had already, left the bowl, and teams were, the players were getting their showers and stuff and getting ready to get on the airplane to take off. I went back down to the field, and it was the most eerie feeling because I was standing in a stadium with no one around me. It was cold. The ice was still there. There was still cups and trash and stuff, thrown all over in stands and stuff. But there was nobody and I remember looking over and going, that's what life is like. At one moment it's joy and the next moment sorrow. How are you going to deal with those? Because winter is like that. Winter is cold, and a lot of people don't like the winter because of the elements and stuff. I love winter because it brings a season of Christmas and Thanksgiving, and I love those holiday seasons. A lot of people don't like those seasons, right, for whatever reason. But what God taught me in that moment that has stayed with me forever, even through, because this was before all the infertility stuff is going down. Right. This is before, all the dark things in my life that I write about. But I think that moment prepared me for all that I was about to walk through. Because one moment there was joy and the next moment complete sadness.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with those? Can they exist at the same time? Maybe, maybe not. But the side of that whole thing is that was the last time Jimmy Johnson ever lost as a Cowboy coach. Was that game. That was his memory.
Yeah.
If he today would sit back and think, what was that one loss you had as a Cowboy coach? It was that game, that moment of the joy and then the sorrow. And what an impression it left on me to stand there and watch that from the sidelines next to a coach who was disappointed that they had just lost, to the fact within seconds he just won. And I'm looking across the field at a coach who said, we won, and within seconds lost. Which one of those do I want to be? Because you're going to be faced with joy and sorrow, maybe at the same time, maybe not. But what are you going to do with that? Right. And that's what I learned from that. But that's not why I don't like the Cowboys.
Oh, that's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast.
I can see why you put that.
But what a visual.
Yes.
What a visual.
Right. It was a defining moment for you. It was a moment that you burned in. And this is what it's advice I give to, for instance, we're at the university. We had our student run media. It's called My Falcon Radio. It's when the football team first came to UTBB. And I had this gentleman who his whole dream was he wanted to be a sports broadcaster. So, he's a student. He came in, this tall, lanky kid, and he's like, I'll be part of this. And I was like, yeah, for sure. He did great. We put him in the podcast. We did over 100 podcasts for UTBB at that time. And it's called the Falcon Fly Zone. And fast forward a couple years, he calls me and he asked me about, should he take this certain, job position way up north, and if he asked for advice on when he's there. And he said, I'm going up there, for an intern. I'm going to be there for 3 months. Then I decide, if they want me or if I want them. And I was like, oh, okay, it's great. Well, the advice I gave him, and I've given it to other kids, is when you're in a certain moment and you recognize this could be a game changer. Burn, just sit there and soak it in and remember that. Remember where you were in that space. When faced with a decision or a moment to where, it's what you're talking about, this pure eruption of joy and we won victory, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think you can be both at the same time, but they can toggle, and that was the toggle that you saw. It's just when a juggernaut has all this momentum, this unstoppable force, but all of a sudden there's a force opposing it that can stop it. Well, where does all that momentum go? It's to come to a complete stillness at some point, So some of it happens abruptly, just like what you witnessed. But then I think what most of life is, it happens slowly, because we go through the ups and downs, and it is all in the echo that resonates between. And that's where life is lived. Because we can't live 100%, happy go lucky, rah, joy, because they're downtime.
And you can't live in the down.
You can't live in the down. Yeah. Yeah. So I as extremes just don't work. And I think that's just nature, right? That's the cosmos, existence in itself. There is no permanent extreme.
I didn't ask for that lesson.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the things I talk when I share that story in a settings. I never asked for that lesson. I never asked for any of the things that I walked through. You never asked for the things you've walked through. You've experienced them. But it's you go by what you do in those experiences. Yeah. And so I sat there and was given an opportunity to see, just like you said, the joy and the suffering, the loss, and it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
And with the loss of my brother, with the loss of my friends, loss of my dad, my mom, it was like that. It was that quick. Yeah. So what I saw that day was what life is like. You've got great, you've got sadness, and it happens so fast.
It's right there.
So fast.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Jay, it's been an amazing conversation. Do you have anything else that you'd like to let your listeners know?
Well, I just appreciate you. I've what you're doing. I know we met, the first time we officially met was working with Carl, looking at ways to kids and to serve kids of the community and stuff. Yeah. And our hearts just resonated together with what we need to do as a community to take care of kids. So if I could give any advice, if I could say anything that anybody would say, oh, that's good, I think I might hang my hat on that, would be kind of a phrase that came from 2 Kings chapter 5 out of the Bible, where Naaman is a of an army and he had leprosy. And out of that leprosy, he wanted to be healed. And the prophet told him, dip yourself 7 times in the Jordan River and you'll be healed. Well, there's nothing magical about the Jordan River. It was a nasty river. There's nothing magical about the number 7. The magic, if you want to use that word, is in the obedience. Just do whatever God, your parents, friends, whatever is being asked of you, whatever you're given, just do that. Can you imagine if Naaman in that story, he was told to dip 7 times in that river and he would be healed? What if he stopped at 6? What did he miss?
Yeah.
So my advice is, don't stop at 6.
There you go.
Do what's asked of you.
Yeah.
Do what's expected of you. Do what has been asked. Do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Don't cut yourself short. Don't stop at 6.
Don't stop at 6. Look where your feet are planted.
Look at where your feet are planted.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely, Jay. You're welcome. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for the platform.
For sure. Let so know where they can get the book.
Amazon right now. It's available in paperback and Kindle. You can just look it up, The Echo Between Hope and Healing. Maybe in the show notes or something we could put the link in there. And so I'd be thrilled if you purchase it, but I'd be more thrilled if you take it and read it and share it with somebody who needs it.
Because that's why it was written.
That's why it was written.
Yes, sir.
100%.
All right. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see y'all on the next one.